Welcome to Insights. I'm Eric. I'd like to do a sentiment review today. Sentiment has been something that's kind of a one-way street since we made the lows in February. Everyone's piling on, and we can quantify that relatively easy. Inside the stock model section, there's a sentiment model. The sentiment model gives us direction, which we find direction here through the LTSOs, and you can click these links, and we're going to go to them in a second, but you can click those links and look at the charts. It's currently 33%, which is above zero and puts us in a bull phase. It's been a bull phase since 10.8. 10.8 is when the two models agreed with one another here. There's also an important concentration is another important aspect of the sentiment models. We know the phase is bullish, but bullishness it can go from extreme pessimism to extreme optimism. We have a raw reading, which is the WAS at 1.6, and then we have WAS naught, which is kind of like a slowed down reading, and you can click on either one of them to confirm these numbers. And I suggest looking at WAS naught. We're going to go and take a look at that now. Concentration is really important. The computer comments on the phase, which talks about bull, and then it talks about the timing, and nothing is extended. But ultimately, it's talking about the phase cycles here. It's not really looking at WAS and WASO. I mean, I could probably put comments in there or have the computer comment on it, but it's not too hard, and I'm going to show you directly how to interpret that. So everyone is turning more and more optimistic, and there's a grading scale from pessimism is down below the dotted line, and this is WAS, to optimism is above everything above the dotted line. And there's different grades of it, and you can go way up, and we're up here at 1.6, which is right up here. So we're getting close to the red line. How close really depends on how long this has been concentrated. This is a weighted average. This is the longer term. This is weighted also based on volatility and the speed of a movement. And we can see that this is the one I tend to follow the most. This is the raw reading, and then this is the one that I focus on. It smooths out some of the noise. We can see that the current impulse, if I measure the cutoff at 0.75, I can do it at 0.5 as well. But you can see it highlights all the times in which the computer is identifying what I would consider to be, and it considers to be optimistic and concentrated optimism. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times that this is the seventh time since 2009 low that the market is generated a fairly concentrated at 0.75, and we can see that each time it did this, the market not only faced an immediate threat of a decline, but then it rolled over eventually. Even here where it powered through, it did roll over. So it started here, we finished here, here we rolled over, here we rolled over, here it kind of muddled through, but then it rolled over sharply, here it rolled over. There are different types, and I'm gonna, as I highlight this, you can see, well, actually 0.75 is as low as it goes right now, but we can see that even 0.5 highlights this mark. It highlights these marks, which then the market rolled over into the sharp decline. Sentiment wasn't as bullish and optimistic it is today, but even before the sharp sell-off, it's fairly there's optimism, and this goes back. I mean, when you have strong, unless it's the first impulse off of a low, which is, it's possible that that's what this is, but you ultimately get a slowing of the rally and often a turning of a rally. I'm going to zoom out, and we're going to even highlight this more at 0.9. And it shows you this is the fourth time that the market has, and it shows you the really concentrated zones of which optimism reading has climbed above 0.9. It's at 0.94 right now. It's a pretty concentrated market, and then we can say that which ones are one. There was only 2 times in which it was one. We're getting real dangerous territory. The public is going to chase. They're going to get optimistic. They're going to follow like crazy. That's what they do. That's why they get timing wrong. That's why they never see everyone standing on one side of the boat. If you want to use that analogy, as higher this goes, the majority is standing on one side of the boat. and it means the boat's unstable and it's dangerous. There are periods of which the market turns over in which sentiment doesn't get these concentrated. This period right here after the 2003 sell-off in first rounds of QE, optimism or sentiment towards the stock market was pretty much beaten up. It stayed low for a long time. Spikes from sentiment really were only seen when we got above the dotted line. But here, the Federal Reserve sponsoring the stock market and the rejection of the bond market thus far, for now, it's really made the stock market the collecting point, and that as a collecting point, people are becoming more and more optimistic and way more and more complacent. A dangerous market, dangerous setup if this coincides with an economic downturn or a slowdown on the margin, even after the stimulus checks are handed out. It could set up for a sharp decline or at least a definite, well-defined pause. It's difficult to see, but these are fairly sizable pullbacks, even with an uptrend that continued higher. The WAS1, which is slowed down even more, shows us that we could have more room. This tends to focus on the readings that are really big in nature. We look for really concentrated readings above zero point 0.5. That would be here. That would be here. We're not quite there yet. We're at 0.27. This is really slow, so there's an opportunity here to stretch the rubber band even further, but not too much. I would give it a couple more months at the most. This probably could flip over in a few more weeks. This would flip over probably in a month or two. But the fact is that we are pushing the limit of bullish percentages. It's really how many people are standing on one side of the boat. And even though the sentiment model's direction is still up, concentration will catch turns before it flips down. Now the VIX model is a little bit better, and we'll head back to the matrix and talk about that. The VIX model is a little bit better at finding it turns faster than sentiment. But sentiment's concentration will get concentrated. This will show extreme readings before even the VIX model pulls itself down. So that's why I keep a close eye on this, not so much for whether or not these two models are in agreement, of which something will fall out at some point. But when you get extreme readings, those and you can follow them. I will highlight everything that's above point 0.5. That's usually the minimum cutoff, or you can look at it when it gets above 0.75. I will post that as well or highlight those. But keep an eye on those things, on sentiment in particular, on concentration. It's an important aspect of actually knowing when to step away from the market. Cycle times, which is these are the price cycles for the models, and these are the time cycles. They're just not extended yet, but that doesn't mean the market's not going to breathe within the uptrend. If you have any questions about the sentiment model, and whether it be the direction component or the concentration, how it works with the VIX model, you can write some comments below the video or follow this back to the blog. This was an open content one for everyone to keep an eye on and to learn from, and then subscribers will take this information, and this is really a follow-up of the help here. If you click these links, star linked, you will get a similar discussion that we just had, probably in less detail. This is a more dangerous setup. We are entering dangerous territory into the concentration of sentiment. Everyone is bullish and getting complacent. So thanks for watching the video, and enjoy your trading day.